Okay, here we go. Our first lab of semester two, and it's for lesson 4.03. I'm sorry. Yes. Nope. I apologize. Lesson 4.04, Human Impact on Earth. I've opened up the Buzz lesson pages or the Buzz landing page for us to take a look at this together and get you ready to go for your lab. So, right here are the lesson pages. Remember, the first thing you need to do is it's best to follow the suggested schedule I've made for you or to break up these lessons and do a couple of pages a day every single day. That makes it less work in the long run for you. But make sure that you go through those lesson pages. I have created a forced Google Doc that you can open up in order to complete this lab report. When you open this document here, it's going to ask you to make a copy. The minute you do that, please, first thing, go up to the share button, type in my name, and share this document with me. If it doesn't see my name as Kristen Lohoff, if it doesn't guess who I am, then go ahead and type in my email address that you see right here, wvs.klohoff@cisa9.org. Go ahead and share that with me. And then you're going to see in this lab report, the top section, put your name, your instructor's name, that's me, Mrs. Lohoff, the date you completed this, and the name of the lab. The name of the lab is often listed right at the top, Human Impact on Earth. That's the name of this lab. Next, we go right to the data collection, and the data collection is based on three locations, New York City, the Amazon rainforest, and the Sahara Desert. So let's go into that lab and take a look at what you're going to need to do. Remember, you're going to start this report after you've worked through the lesson pages. So you're going to go through all 8 of these pages on your own, making sure you practice, understand the material, practice those interactive activities that they give to you. And then by the time you get here, which is page 8, you're going to be ready to do this lab. The lab is located right here on the Buzz page. In this lab, you will explore the impact that humans have had on Earth. The purpose of this lab, in this lab, you will provide examples of the impact humans have had on Earth, identify actions that humans can take to decrease or reverse their negative impact on Earth, explain the cause and effect relationships of deforestation, desertification, and urbanization, evaluate the impact of human activities on air and water quality, and analyze human impact on Earth as a local effect versus a global effect. All right, so you're going to see some icons. Up here, you're going to see the data table. You have the home icon that will bring you back to the home screen, and then different things you can select on the map to go to the different locations. Welcome to the Global Protection Agency. Our researchers are ramping up their study of human impact on Earth and need your help. Our team is investigating how increased human impact affects different regions of our global environment. Our agency works with global governments to determine if additional environmental guidelines are needed to decrease human impact. The data you collect during your investigation will help you to determine the environmental protection guidelines needed for future development in the area. Humans have changed the landscape of Earth more than any other species. These impacts have had local and global effects that continue to impact our planet for generations to come. Select each of the following human impacts to explore further. We have deforestation, which is the permanent destruction of plants and trees in an area. This leads to loss of habitat and increased greenhouse gases in the environment. Desertification limits the land's ability to support life, affecting animals and humans. The removal of plants leads to accelerated soil erosion by wind and water. Urbanization is the gradual increase in population in an area. This leads to the removal of plants and trees replaced by concrete and buildings. This increase also leads to an increase in pollution. In your investigation, you will determine the overall environmental health of a location by examining 3 common indicators: suspended particles in water, carbon dioxide levels in the air, and erosion of usable land. Select each picture to learn more about these common indicators of environmental health. Increased carbon dioxide levels may increase Earth's temperature as it accumulates in the atmosphere. Erosion of usable land. Increased erosion carries away our usable topsoil and decreases land surface for habitats. Suspended particles in water. Increased suspended particles in the water due to erosion and pollution kills off water organisms and leaves water undrinkable. Let's begin our investigation by traveling to 3 locations around the globe. At each location, you will observe the current effects of human impact and compare it to data that was gathered in prior years. You will use this data to support your decision when determining environmental protection guidelines. All right, we are now on the map location. At this point, it makes a lot of sense to have your own lab report open. Hopefully you already have. You have your own tab open with the lab report. You have a tab open with this video and a tab open with the lab report, because we're now going to go and I'm going to show you how to enter the data for New York City. You're going to follow the same procedure for the Amazon rainforest and the Sahara Desert on your own. I don't need to show you all 3. The way you do it is exactly the same. So hover over this spot right here and read what it says. Welcome to New York City. Here you will investigate how urbanization has affected this area. As New York City became more populated, there was an increased need for living areas. Construction companies removed most of the vegetation from the area and replaced it with roads and large concrete buildings called skyscrapers. They left a small area of trees, grass, and wildlife called Central Park. Urbanization in New York City has impacted water quality. You can measure water quality by examining the amounts of particles suspended in it. The unit for this measurement is parts per million, or ppm. Much of this pollution comes from runoff construction materials as well as the use of fossil fuels. Let's examine the Global Protection Agency reports to determine the guidelines for future development. Select each Global Protection Agency report below to view the data. Be sure to save the data in your data table. So 50 years ago, if I click, it says the water pollution was 625 parts per million, and I need to record that in this blinking table above. 625 parts per million. I'm going to save and close that. I'm also going to open up the lab report here, get back up to 50 years ago, New York City, and put in my data there. I'm going to look at present day. Water pollution present day is 893 parts per million. Let me enter that in. 893 parts per million. Save and close, and enter it in the actual table too, the actual lab report. All right, click next. Let's analyze our data to determine how to decrease the effects of future development. Select one of the following recommendations for your Global Protection Agency report. To make the future development more eco-friendly and decrease water pollution from runoff, choose one of the following recommendations. Construct using only recycled materials, create gardens on the rooftops, install solar panels on every new building. So you need to pick one of these options. I'm going to pick the create garden rooftops. Create gardens on all of the rooftops. And if I do that, water pollution will decrease to 843 parts per million. I need to put that in my data table. So what did I choose? Gardens on rooftops. And I don't remember what they said. Oh, it won't let me. Whoops, I don't want this. Gosh, it's not letting me. Go back. Oh, and it won't let me close. I'm stuck here until I put in, I think it's at 893 still. I don't think it decreased. Did it? 843. It was less. So let me put that in first before I forget it. So it decreased to 843 parts per million. And I did garden rooftops on buildings. All right, that is what you do for each location. So you learn from me. Make sure that you might want some scratch paper to write it down in case you can't remember from transferring the information from one place to another. It doesn't really, it isn't very user friendly in that way. So now we're done. We can go to this blinking spot, which will take us to another location. You can see New York City's grayed out because we already did it. So you're going to then open up either Sahara Desert, Amazon rainforest, and you're going to complete the tables for those, just like you did for New York City. And then you're going to answer the conclusion set questions. Your conclusion will include a summary of the lab results. Here's the deal with the conclusion questions. You really shouldn't have to be Googling outside at all to get answers for these questions. Conclusion questions in a lab report are based on the information you gathered in this lab. They don't need to usually be beyond the scope of what you've done here. So here it says, when recommending solutions to decrease human impact, which location were you able to make the greatest positive impact? Which one did you have the most effect? And explain using data from that section. So I could say if this turned out to be the best improvement, I could say I had the most success in New York City, where parts per million of water pollution decreased by 50 from present day to future by creating garden rooftops on top of buildings. I'm just taking this information here and relaying it in my answer. I'm not going out and using Google. So number 2, you're going to answer, and number 3. At the very bottom here, you're going to see the rubric. This is exactly the rubric I use to grade your work. So take a look at it so you know how you're going to earn your points. If you have questions, be sure to reach out to me. You can email me, you can set up an appointment with me, book an appointment with me, or you can leave a voicemail message on my telephone line. Good luck. Can't wait to see what you come up with. Bye.